Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Sat with Matt. My guest today is a fabulous queen who charmed all of our hearts when she appeared on season 2 and All Stars 10 of RuPaul's Drag Race. I'm super excited for you all to get to know her better and learn more about her amazing journey in drag. We'll, of course, be talking all things Drag Race, and I'll be asking some of the amazing questions you all sent in. So please join me in welcoming the iconic NPBFAG, Nicole Paige Brooks from Atlanta, Georgia.
Hello, hello. Thank you so
Hi.
much for having me. I'm so excited.
Thank you so much for being here. It's an honor to be honored by the presence of the NPBFAG.
I believe you. No, I'm just kidding. No, no, well, first off, I found out you were down in Australia and I'm coming down there. So I'm excited for you to tell me some things I need to do. I was really planning on interviewing you mostly about what I should be doing when I come to Australia in July.
Yeah, I actually saw that you were announced obviously as part of the roast tour. Then there's lots of queens on it and Darlene from the later seasons on it. And I already booked this ages ago. I think it was before I even knew you were on it. I already booked it, so I'm coming to the one in Melbourne. So I'll get to see your lovely face roasting all of the queens.
I'm so excited. I hope they're not very sensitive.
So I was just wondering if you could start with maybe I'm sure my audience will know who you are because we all love you from the show, but could you maybe take us back a little bit in time and tell us how Nicole got started in drag and sort of where the name comes from and the development of all of that?
Nicole was born February 22nd, 1995 in Oklahoma at a club called Angles. I did a uh, drag pageant. It's called Stud the Stars, and whoever raised the most tips during the contest, and it all went to charity, was crowned. I came out in July of that year, and by February I was doing drag, and I've been doing Nicole ever since. And then I moved to Atlanta, and I was just Nicole Page in Oklahoma. And then when I moved to Atlanta, I met Shawnna Brooks, and then Shawnna Brooks and took me under her wing, and then I added Brooks to my name, and I've been pretty much unstoppable. And then when I was about 15 years in the drag game, I ran across a show called RuPaul's Drag Race, which I was on season 2. I was the number 10 queen ever to be in the room. And then I, came home and was a co-parent. And um, 15 years later, when I was celebrating my 30-year drag anniversary, I was on RuPaul's Drag Race All Stars 10. And the rest you probably have seen or downloaded or, saw the memes. I think I said it all, right?
Yes, you said all of it. Yes, no, I mean you've had an amazing journey, and I think one of the things that is so iconic about, I mean, there's many things that are iconic about you, let's be honest, but one of the things that is really interesting, and you mentioned it just now, was obviously you were on season 2 and then All Stars 10, but there was 15 years between them, and I think I'm right in saying that you're the queen that has the longest gap between seasons of any queen there's been on Drag Race now.
Well, I think Mystique now, because of All Stars 11, it probably was longer
Yes, yes. Well, that so
because she was on. Yeah.
no, no, you're right. So, just for the context of people watching this, All Stars 11 was just announced today, like just before we started
Yes.
recording this. So, yes, yeah, you're right. It's probably now
Yeah.
Mystique, but
So, and that also means that everybody from season 2 is now an All Star.
wow, yeah,
So, yeah.
pretty much everyone's come back apart from obviously some people.
Yeah.
But
Well,
but yeah,
the person who is crowned doesn't have to come back for an All Stars unless she wants to do an All Winners, and that's between her and her doctor. And then uh and then we don't have Sahara. But I was just speaking about Sahara today, and how amazing would it have been to see Sahara and Manila compete against each other? You know what I mean? And we were
yeah.
just like that would have been really iconic. But besides her, who obviously can't compete, but yeah, it's pretty sickening that all of season 2 is now officially an all-star. But now we'll see what Mystique does. She likes to fight. I'm not that girl. But I'm
Well,
excited. I'm just excited that like everybody from season 2 now has officially been an all-star. So
Well, it was an iconic season, so I'm not actually surprised in some ways. And actually, I wanted to sort of get
yeah.
into a season 2 because obviously it was really near the beginning. There'd only been one season before, obviously, and season one was very
Which
different
I
in
was
a lot of
also
ways.
on season one. My audition video was on season one, so I say I was on season one and two. So, but I yeah, everybody that was on season two was like full time besides Shangela, who came in. It was like her second day ever doing drag, and she came in with like those little Mac papers talking about this is how she's paint color back. Oh, it was so crazy to me. I was like, I've been doing drag 15 years. She's like, I've been doing drag 15 minutes. I was like, what are you doing here? And then I was like, thank God she was here. I probably would have went home first. No, no, I turned that first episode. Actually, I should have been in the top because
There were
I
lots
pretty
of
much
times you
made,
should have been.
I made Kylie's outfit and I pretty much made Morgan's outfit, and they were in. I think Morgan. Anyway,
Well, speaking of season two, can you tell us a bit about what it was like auditioning? So you mentioned obviously your audition tape was featured on in season one, but so you obviously auditioned for that. But
yeah.
can you tell us about the audition process of what it was like getting actually onto the show, especially so early in the game of Drag Race?
Well, yeah, back then it was really like show us like 10 outfits, walk up and down, show us your walk, and do a RuPaul song. It wasn't really, a little bit of background. It wasn't really near. I think they do like a 20-minute video now, but yeah, it was pretty. And I pretty much, since I got so close on season one, they pretty much invited me for season two, and so I pretty much turned in the same video with like a few updates on it for season two. Because I felt like I was a shoe-in. You know, So, but it's not nearly what it is now. As far as, you have to show the characters and two characters, and you gotta like read. Because I get messages about the girls doing videos, and they want to get permission to read me in the video, or I'll tell them the read they should be doing about me, you know, and things like that. But we didn't have to read no girls. I mean, because season two was the original of everything. I don't even think we sent in an illusion. I mean, I think I brought an illusion because I know that I was going to do Janice Dickinson, and but it wasn't like you had to turn in like these videos of you doing these illusions, because I don't think I had turned in a full concept of Janice Dickinson, or maybe I sent them a picture of me as Miss Hannigan and said I was going to do Cara Burnett, but it wasn't nearly as evolved as it is now. They want you to have a full character and send in. Yeah, it was quite easy. But also, it was really new, and that back then they wanted girls who were pretty established. It wasn't about how many likes and stuff like that you have online. Which, no shade to none of those girls no more, because some of them are, they beat a lot. I call it bathroom drag. Some say bedroom, but it's usually in a bathroom. But it was really easy. And then for All Stars 10, I really just kind of campaigned for All Stars 10. Anytime I saw Theraner, then I was like, I was the number 10 queen in the room. All Stars 10 is perfect for me. And then I love that they changed the format. I mean, I can't, it was like they remembered with the moment when they got the call. Babe, do you remember where we were when we got All Stars 10 notice?
I just remember you told me. Oh,
And I was just like, but I was expecting the call. You know what I mean? But for All Stars 10, but I just kind of
you put it up.
I put it out there, and my friend signed. I didn't even really sign up for season one. My friend signed me up for it. I was having mimosas for brunch right next to my friend Armand, and he was like, "Oh, RuPaul's having a contest. Come by my house. I've already signed you all up. I just need you to like approve and pick out a few extra pictures for me and make sure that I wrote." Because he was kind of like a manager figure to me at that time, so he wrote the whole bio and did everything. And it was like vote. They used to vote. So it's like I was in the top 10 the first week I was up there. People were walking by me going, I did my cookies and voted for you. And I was like, I didn't know how to turn my phone on barely.
I was just going to say, what was it like going and filming season two? Because obviously it was so early in the game for Drag Race, but you were a very established queen already. So what was it like then competing with a lot of people who were kind of new to it?
Well, I just thought it was gonna be something really rah-rah. I was like, this is crazy. What are they gonna be? We're gonna be doing drag on national TV. So I'm excited I got to see season one, because season one to me showed a dressing room. It showed the senior queen, it showed the big girl, the baby queen, it showed, the black girl, the white girl, the Latin girl, the pageant one, the, ghetto one, da, da, da. It showed a dressing room environment if you had the right show, because most shows should have a little bit of all that in it. So it was very much giving me the dressing room energy that I was in. So and it showed all the work that went behind it. They were like making wigs and making outfits. It showed all the behind the scenes stuff that goes into drag. So I was like, oh, this is sickening. So and I was co-parenting a very young child at this point. And my brother and my sister had young children also, you know, all like, and it was like the beginning of bullying when we were like hearing this massive bullying thing about kids in school, massive. So when I walked into the room and was hit with 10 cameras and I'm the first one in the room, I all I had to react to were the cameras, and all I could think about was anything that came out of my mouth. These young people around me were going to have to defend or endure or whatever the word that you want to use is. But it made me very self-aware and very self-conscious about what I was going to be saying because I thought somebody else was going to have to defend it that couldn't really defend themselves at that age. So and we didn't really know what we were doing. And then when the stripper pole came out, I was like, oh, this is the opposite of what I want to be doing. And then we were like streetwalkers selling cherry pie on the street. I was like, oh, this is not given the rah-rah level of drag I was wanting. I wanted to show that, you know what I mean? Now you're showing what some girls have to do to make some extra money, and that's not the drag I do. You know what I mean? I understand that it might have been part of your story, Rue, but it's not part of my story. So whenever all that kind of came out, no disrespect to people who love to climb a pole and work on the street, I love all that for you, but it wasn't what I was trying to present to, you know, the young people in my life. And I wanted to present myself as a professional queen that was on a different level than just being a bar queen, you know what I mean? Or a local queen, as they call it now. I wanted to put myself on a different level for the fact that I was co-parenting somebody that was young. You know what I mean?
That's a really
So I
interesting.
was a little,
That's a really interesting insight. Like to hear that you had very different expectations on season two, especially because you mentioned about co-parenting. So you've talked because you've talked about your son before. Am I right in thinking? I read this online. I just want to clarify. Is this it's a friend's child that you co-parent, but not your biological child? Am I correct?
yes, yes, totally.
So I think that's really interesting though, because there's not that many drag, at least drag race queens that are parents. There are some, but there's not that many. So I was wondering if you could kind of talk about that, explain how that came about.
Well, he's grown now and doesn't like me to like pop his story back up all the time. But a friend of mine a friend of mine was pregnant and she ended up her partner at the time passed away. And I was really friends with the partner that passed away. So I was going over there kind of in mourning with everybody else. And then there was a young child there. So my days were free. So I would keep her child during the day while she was working during the day, and then I would be working at night. And so it just worked out. And then I just organically became a co-parent of this child. You know what I mean? So then, yeah. So, but it was like the best time of my life. You know, after I got done with Drag Race, I just went back and became, you know, a co-parent. You know, and picking him up every day from school. You know, that was what I went back to. That's what I went back to my 5 nights a week and being a co-parent, which was, you know, the highlight of my life.
Yeah, that's so. The
You know,
only reason I asked is because some people in the question from my subscribers, they just wanted to know are you still kind of in touch with them, and it was interesting to
yeah,
hear about the son and
yeah.
everything. So that's
No, he's
fine.
amazing. Yeah. No, he's amazing. They're amazing.
Speaking of, because you obviously were talking about family, one thing I would love to ask you about season two, because this is like a slightly random thing. And I feel like Drag Race actually posted about this recently. On season two, there was this whole like mystery that your photo of your drag mom, Shawnna Brooks, went missing.
Somebody stole my mommy's picture. I walk in the room and, you know, first thing I'm thinking is go say hello to Shawnna, my drag mother. And she's not on the wall. I've been robbed. If anybody sees an 8x10 of Shawnna Brooks, maybe got set in their station by accident because it was on this wall yesterday and now it's gone.
And then there's been like conspiracy theories for a long time. Can you tell us like what happened? Did it go missing? Do you think production took it to like screw with you, or do you know what happened?
I do think it was a production thing because I was very like, once I saw Morgan and like the way people were acting like really crazy, I was like not Morgan, but Morgan and Mystique, who were on All Stars 11. But when I saw like how crazy people were acting, I was like, oh my God, I don't want to be seen like this. You know what I mean? Don't want to be perceived as all this madness. But So I think that production was like, it's not produced, but they are trying to push your buttons. Like they would tell Kylie to come over and ask me, "What do you think Nicole would be doing?" Right? Go ask Nicole what she'd be doing when she was home, and they know it'd be like bus time. So I'd be like, "Oh, I'd be at the bus getting my child off the bus," and then kind of trying to instigate the tears and da 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 la la la, or perpetuate a storyline that they found interesting and things like that. So I think that I think we had just done the Barbie thing, and it was all dedicated. Me and Kylie had dedicated our Barbie to Shawnna, and then the next day the photo was missing. I just think it was just like something they were trying to, but I'm just like, I get another one when I get home. You know what I mean? And also by then it was like, I don't know. I'm not a competitive person. I'm a Cancer is my sign, and I'm more of a motherly personality. You know what I mean? I'm much more supportive than I am competitive. And I think that's my downfall on these shows. You know what I'm saying? Much more there for a good time than I am for, these girls are serious about it. And I just don't think I don't think that a crown, well, obviously that a crown doesn't make or break you, losing is the new winning. But I just think, you have these opportunities to go on TV and just show a piece of yourself. And yeah, season 2 was like me not really being myself. All Stars 10 was me being completely myself because all those kids are full grown now. You know what I mean? and they're fine. And they're unbothered by anything I say. They've heard it their whole lives at this point.
Well, one of the things you mentioned, I was actually going to ask you about this, is that I think on season 2, there was a big part of the storyline, because obviously you weren't on season 2 for as long as you should have been. One of the things that you kind of talked about was not being yourself on season 2. Why do you think that was? What were the reasons behind that?
Why am I arguing with these people that my brother is on Drag Race and I don't know about it?
What is your relationship like with Raven? Have you sort of like spoken about that since? Were you genuinely annoyed at what she had said about you?
Well,
you obviously came back for All Stars 10, which was 15 years after your original season. A lot of people wanted to know, had you ever been asked for All Stars before?
I had never been asked before, but I also think that they didn't think I was interested. You know what I mean? Until I started telling them I was interested, then I started, because what it was is I didn't oversaturate myself after season 2. I went home and became a dad. You know what I mean? And went back to my 5 nights a week, and I was happy about that. I didn't like do the whole riding the coattails and doing everything that RuPaul and everybody else was doing. I wasn't like just traveling. I didn't go out on this tour immediately. You know what I'm saying? I just didn't ride the coattails of season 2 like a lot of girls were able to or did. I went back home and did what I needed to do, which was raise my child. So I think the fact that I did that when I did start traveling, I was like a unicorn. You know what I mean? They're like, Nicole was like on the move, again. And also, when people think you don't need to work, they don't call you for work. You know what I mean? And I was working 5 nights a week. If you saw me on social media or whatever, which we were just starting, like we were required to get Instagram on season 2. Like they were like there's this new platform, Twitter. I think we had to sign up for that because it was like all new stuff that was happening back in season 2. So there was no Instagram queens on our season because Instagram didn't exist until season 2.
With All Stars, though, you were the first. Your All Star season was the first season with the brackets and everything.
Yeah.
How did you feel about the brackets when you got told about the format? Did you like that, or did you think it was?
I was so excited, girl. I was like, oh, because I was only on 2 episodes of my season, so I'm already ahead. 3, you're gonna guarantee me 3? And then I was like, oh, and there's a reunion. There's 4. Bam, bitch, I'm on TV. I was like, yay, that's perfect. I don't need more than 3 episodes. That's good enough for me. As you saw, that's all I needed. Some girls need a few minutes to warm up. I knew when I walked in, I was gonna be ready to go.
One thing I was really when you got announced, I was so excited for you to be on All Stars 10 because you were one of my favorites, and so I love it when queens from previously like older seasons that haven't been on for a while come on. Like I was so excited, but also because you are known for being like yourself, you're fabulous, you are unfiltered, and that's what we love about you. And you really proved that with, I remember there was a rumor that Maddy Morphosis was supposed to be on but didn't get on. And then you on a live were like, yeah. And like you said, Maddy was supposed to be on and didn't. And then you said that Lydia replaced her and they showed you videos of Lydia.
They sent us a list of names, and there was a girl on there. And we were like, we had to like, get ready to read this girl or whatever. And then when we got to the hotel girl, she wasn't there. She was not there. And they came to our room with a laptop and said, should I say the name that who got this drag queen who is also a heterosexual? I can just say that, is not going to be here. So this is the person that's going to be here. They're on season 17. And they showed us videos.
I thought that was so funny and so interesting that you were spilling that sort of tea. Like, did you ever get in trouble for stuff like that? Or were you just like, I'm just going to say it because it's true?
Okay, so for real, I didn't know that they could be filming all that. I'm new to that tickety top. So I was like, okay, let me go on. Okay, so first off, press week, we didn't have no press week in season 2. They like sent us home and said, have a nice day. And we didn't get paid until the episode aired. So we were like sitting at home waiting for our little check to come out for $250. I think we were getting like $250 back then. And we were just like, oh, we gotta wait for this episode to air. But we didn't have no press week. So when press week was coming around, I was like, well, we getting paid for this? Because I know y'all got money. This is like Paramount Plus, the hotels, rah, rah. I was like, there's got to be some money. So I was like, we ain't getting like $100 a day. And then I saw that we were doing this viewing party, and I went and saw they were selling tickets for it. And I was like, what the fuck is this? So then I was like, well, y'all are charging $30 a head. I can't get $30. I know 4 people that are coming. But anyway, so I kind of said that to them. And they're like, this is a opportunity for you to be out in front of the press, blah, 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 blah. So, you didn't have this opportunity, and I was like, okay, for you, to advertise yourself. So I went to bed like this and woke up and went, press week. And I just knew I was just going to terrorize press week. So I started getting my little outfits together. By the way, every single look, the zipper broke on every single one of them. I was mortified because I was eating the house down on my way there probably. But but I knew that once they asked the question, I was just going to have diarrhea of the mouth because we didn't have press week. You know what I mean? I was like, I'm going to take full advantage of press week. And then halfway through press week, they're like, how does it feel to be the front runner? And I was like, so the first day of press week, we were going to Stone Mountain. And Lydia came up. Were we on live together, or did she come up to my room? Yeah, we were going to Stonewall. It was the first night, first thing we were doing. We were getting ready for Stonewall, and she came into my room, I think for a flat iron or something like that. And that's when I said, who should replace it, whatever. But I didn't really think I was going to get in trouble because I didn't think anybody would find out because I only had like 15 people on my live or something like that. I like a little small, intimate crowd. But then when we got to Stonewall, Isabella, our mistress, came over to me and was like, girl, you are in trouble. And I was like, what? She's like, it's all over the internet. You said that Maddy was the one who said that Miss Hole replaced Maddy. And I was like, what are you talking about? It's all over. She's like, they record that. I was like, no, they didn't. She's like, here it is. I was like, oh my God. I was like, oh my God. I had no idea. So I was like, so Paramount people were like walking around. I was like, oh my God. So they like, come here, Nicole. And they took me to the back and I was like, am I in trouble? I didn't know. I was like, it was kind of already out there that everybody knew. Am I in trouble? He's like, no, but don't be saying nothing else. And I was like, okay. But I think they kind of appreciated it because it really was the first viral moment that anybody was even talking about the show. So I kind of did what I was trying to do, which was like have a TikTok internet moment, and I did it with the most rah-rah of the show, which was Butthole, you know what I mean? Lydia, and I just adore her. So, and I was and she was like paying tribute to me most of press week. Like she was dressing up as me, and like she was just like my mini-me for all of press week. So I just, doing all the internet stuff and trying to get me on her stuff and da-da-da. It was really cute. I just love her. What was the question?
Well, the question, what
I was going to 20 of those. What was I talking about?
So it was about the whole you talking about Maddy not being there and Lydia. I agree
Yeah.
with you that I think even though you said it, it actually generated more press than if you hadn't said it. So I think they should be thanking you and
Yeah.
sending you a check for that because that was iconic and it was
Yeah.
already out there anyway. Did you ever find out?
I felt like it was already out there, and I just gave a little confirmation. And I also, gave the press week a moment that it needed because nobody was really talking about press week until I blew up press week. I
True,
mean,
true.
this is not what I'm saying. This is what the internet said, and I'm just telling you what you already read on the internet or saw for yourself.
Did they ever say what actually happened with Maddy, or they just said she's not here anymore? Like she's not coming?
Oh no, I haven't.
Okay, fair enough. 'Cause I thought the way you explained it was just so interesting because I think it's sort of a peek into
No,
how
well,
the
we
show
just well,
works.
we she was because okay, and they also don't do this anymore because yeah, I think that they don't give you a list of girls anymore just in case something happens. You're not like, oh my titties look good. Here's that titty looks like I've been feeding somebody. Okay. Anyway, they gave us the list of girls to read. You know what I mean? So that's how we knew. And then when we got there, they brought in a laptop and showed us Lydia, and I was like, whatever.
Well,
But I love her to death. I love her, but I'm just like, it's hard for me to believe that there wasn't somebody else available than this person who just got done filming. But you know what? That she's very clever, and to have zero time to get ready. That's why there was like that sewing challenge that puts everybody on an even playing field. I think she made that flower thing in her room with the pizza box. But these are all things I've said before. You want some original material? Let me think of something. Um,
well, I was going to say I loved your bracket especially because it was the dramatic bracket. It had all the drama in it, especially because of you
yeah.
mentioned her earlier, Mistress Isabelle Brooks. One of the things that I think most people, I'm sure you've been asked about this so many times, but that moment when she tricked you into giving you one of her points and then she didn't give it back and you were gagged.
Nicole, if we're gonna do
Here,
it,
Miss Brooks, keep it in the family.
we should go.
No, you give me yours,
Go,
bitch.
Carrie, go.
See? Georges, I'm gonna go ahead and swap with you, honey.
Thank you,
Season
sis.
14,
Yes,
Texas
and
Girls.
And as Nicole said, we're keeping the Brooks in the family, and we're not really related, so here's my point, Georges. I love you, sister.
Can you tell us a bit about how you actually felt about that in the moment and how you feel about it now, like
No,
your relationship?
that's how I felt about it. When you saw how I felt, I was really because that whole auntie bullshit went on for like 45 minutes. Da, 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 da. So okay, so I walked in and grabbed all the points up and handed them out. I'm like, what are we gonna do? And we weren't supposed to do that. So the production was like, don't do that. But we were already involved in conversations, and by then, Mistress was like, no, what are you gonna do, auntie? Da, la, 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 la. So we had already started filming to where we couldn't go back and just leave because it's supposed to be like, you grab your point and give it to so and so, but I fucked that up. I think in the very first. So I don't know. Did we go back and reshoot it? I can't remember. But that whole auntie and I love you and blah blah blah. So she sat her stuff up next to me so we could all start the whole Brooks Alliance bullshit. And then was calling me auntie and da da da. And I thought, oh, it'd be so sickening because her mother is Chevelle Brooks and my mother is Shawnna Brooks. How cool would it be like after all this turns out we have like this big Brooks Dynasty alliance, maybe do like a Brooks tour with her mother and my mother, da 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 da. But instead she turned it into something like where, she's trash and has no manners. And we could never do anything like that again. And she can't be trusted. She can't be trusted. Like, if she calls me, I'm like, I do not consent to be recorded. You know what I mean? It's that kind of trust. I don't trust her.
Well, what is your relationship
what I
like
mean?
with her now? Do you still have like a problem with her, or is it more like in a fun way?
I mean, she's that coworker that she's always up for the management's position and she don't mind throwing you under the bus. She's that coworker that will get you because she wants the promotion. But she's also will tell you all the rah-rah to get you to where you need to be too. But she ain't gonna tell you everything. But she'll also go to the boss and slay you. I don't know. I mean, but it's better to know than not to know, right?
I guess it made it your bracket was probably the most entertaining because of that, if we're being honest.
I mean, she helped me make great television. I think I let her chime in at all the right moments. But you know, the thing is, she didn't really come across looking that good, and that makes me sad because off camera, she's really she's not a terrible person like that. It really is like more of a persona. But I mean, she is kind of late and disrespectful to people's time when she performs and things like that. And she does read people for no reason, and she didn't. But beyond that, she's a really great person.
Well, okay. So what I was going to say is there was an interview with Pink. There was an interview with Pink News where I think you and someone else like weren't in it like at the beginning, and then you came into a bit later. But in the interview, Lydia, Georges, and Mistress said that you had the most drama with the other queens, and I think Mistress said that quote she, meaning you, got into it with me, Georges, Kerry, RuPaul, Michelle. She was fighting demons. That woman is unwell. Was that a joke or was that serious?
No, I think that's a joke.
Okay.
I didn't fight with Michelle.
But you fought with everyone else.
No, I didn't fight with who she said? I don't think I fought with Michelle. Well, she did. I was wearing a wig like this and she didn't like it, but then she was judging just recently in something. She was wearing the same wig, and I was like, girl.
Yes. One other thing I was going to ask about was one of the reasons this interview even happened was because I interviewed Phoenix not that long ago. Obviously, she was on the same season as you, at a different bracket, and you are drag mother and daughter. And she mentioned that obviously in the past there's been some issues between the two of you, and she sort of talked about it on my channel as well. And then you commented on the video saying you had more to say about it. You said, invite me on the show and I'll tell you what happened, but she is unblocked for now. So I was like, can you maybe tell us a bit about what happened between the two of you?
Okay, so yes, Phoenix is my daughter. But the thing is, okay, so the thing is, you raise your children to do better than you, right? So there's no problem with her. But the thing is, there's one hair right here. When it comes to like me and Shawnna Brooks, I know my place. And it is wherever Shawnna says that is. And that is what Phoenix has a problem with. Because no matter what room she's in, if she's in the room with me, everybody else knows her place. But she doesn't want to observe it. You know what I mean? Because usually, even in that room, she may have been the one to hire me. So she wants to be the manager or the boss or whatever. But when I walk into the room, the energy shift is to me as mother and her as my daughter. So whenever there's like like I drink too much and she wants to tell me I've drank too much. But who are you to tell me, bitch? I'm your mother. Shut the fuck up talking to me like that. You know, you know what I mean? I mean, and that's more of the issue is like I don't take her managerial position very seriously, and she does. And so that can't be in front of other people that she wants people to see her very managerial or as boss lady or as the hierarchy in the room. But no matter what, when I walk in the room, if she's there, facts are facts. I'm the icon and legend in this situation. So right before press week, we were having it was a big, huge brunch for Wussy. It was a Wussy Fest. Is that what it's called, Mo? Wussy Fest. Wussy Fest, and she's a co-producer of Wussy Fest, and it was the closing party at Park Tavern, a brunch, and there was 2 other Rue girls there, and I was in the back. Maybe I did have a couple cocktails. This is not part of my brand. And I would love a Tito sponsorship. But anyway, and also you hired me. So she hired me to MC the rah-rah closing event. Because who else would you hire besides the Mouth of the South, the first Rue girl from Atlanta ever on the show, your mother, season 2 icon, runaway star. Why would you not? You know what I mean? Hire me. So anyway, I'm hosting. I'm also probably drinking, and somebody probably had a pen. So anyway, so she's over there so she comes in and she's doing pictures. She's out of drag. She goes over and does a picture with Sam Star and Miss Sparkle Pussy. And I walk over to get a picture, and she literally pushed me out the photo. It wasn't violent or anything, but she moved me out of the photo as if I could not get the picture with her. So me, whenever I got back to the house, was like, this bitch, every time I think we're cool, girl, she always wants to and But listen, out of Sam and Miss Sparkles and her, I'm the icon in this situation. I'm your mother. I'm the senior. I'm the first RuPaul girl. Y'all all want a picture with me. You know what I mean? Why not just take the photo with me and let me walk away with my drunk ass, as you want to say, or perpetuate that I've been drinking too much? Yeah, girl, I drink too much. I also have a driver. You don't have a driver, so you need to have some water. That part. No, I'm just kidding. No, but I love her to death. And the thing is, we have a power struggle, and the struggle is really on her end. She can't take it, and I'm unbothered.
So where are the two of you? Where's your relationship now then? Because at one point you blocked her.
Me and Phoenix are not close. No. Actually, I just blocked her on everything, to be honest. So.
You said on an Instagram live.
Well, no, I did block her all through press week, girl. So if you go back and watch press week, I was trying to get her. If all during press week, I was trying to, I was getting my little digs in every so often. I was like, blah, 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 blah. And I don't want to say she was my target, but I was mad and she was blocked all through press week. So if you go back and watch some press week stuff, I had some, it was some very pointed comments. But no, we're good now. I mean, I love her no matter, but also I kind of wish I was on her bracket with her, because she was really out of sorts in the beginning, and I know that I could have had her feeling iconic about herself, and she wouldn't have had that nervousness for the first 2 episodes. Like, she was really liked by episode 3, but I wish I was on that. The mother in me wishes I was on that with her, because even if we weren't speaking to each other, I know I could have made her be more, you know what I mean, than she was in the first 2 episodes. I don't think she was feeling herself the way that she should have been feeling herself. Like, we just worked together recently in Athens, and she was fucking on fire. And I think it was because we were backstage just gassing each other up the whole time. You know what I mean? Because she knew her mama was in the audience. You know what I mean? So she went out there and turned it. So in that aspect, I think I could have given her some extra energy if we were in the same bracket together, and that makes me wish that we were. Because, I love her. That's my daughter, and I can say what I want about her, but you ain't saying shit. You know what I mean? No matter what, if I'm not speaking to her, you still ain't speaking crazy about her. And people would tell you I say that all the time. Don't come to me say nothing about none of my mother children. Even if I blocked them, cut them off completely, you ain't allowed to say nothing to me about them, because that's not your child.
Why do you think that you two were not in the same bracket? Do you think it was a deliberate choice to not put you in? Because I thought it would make good TV to do. I don't know why they didn't.
I think they thought that Brooks I thought that they think that Brooks math would have been a little bit. I think if they would have put me, Phoenix, and Isabella in the same thing, it would have been too much for them. It would have been too much. 2 Brooks. That's half the bracket as a Brooks.
I don't think they knew that she's your daughter.
I don't think they really fully No, they knew Phoenix was my daughter. I think they knew that, because they said it. Rue said it to me when I walked in. Like, it's one of the things she said. She said, your daughter was just here. I was like, oh, was she? I have no idea. I have a NDA. I was like, what do you mean my daughter was just here? But you know what? Everybody said on set that she was so nice to, like, I asked all the crew and stuff. I was like, how was Phoenix when she was here? And they said that she was one of the sweetest people to the crew. I was going to say staff. To the staff. But no, to the crew and all the, the PAs and all the people that handle us. I was like, I asked all of them, because I was like, and she really is very professional. And that's one of the things I love about her. She's very professional. And when I walk in the room, I'm not as professional as she is. And, and sometimes I instigate her to come down to that level, but she doesn't want to do that in front of people that she perceives, not as employees, but, the girls that she books, she wants to maintain a level of professionalism. But I always act like everybody in the room is family. I don't really act like anybody is my peer, or I'm their peer. You know what I mean? But that's something she needs to work out.
I'm glad to hear that you two are doing better. I love Phoenix. She's great. When I interviewed her, she's so nice. She was very sweet. She was actually very complimentary about you as well. And obviously she talked about what happened, but she kind of said,
of course she is.
So thinking about All Stars 10, is there obviously it's 3 episodes for each bracket. Was there one challenge or an episode that you enjoyed the most? Like it stands out in your mind as or a favorite memory?
It's all a blur because we were allowed to smoke on All Stars 10. So that was different. Miss George's.
Well, thank you so much for answering all of my questions. I do have some subscriber questions I'd love to get to you. So, first of all, there were lots of people, for example, one of my patrons, Lady Nidaria, as well as multiple other people, just said, no questions. I just want to send you love and appreciation because they love you and they think you're so iconic.
Oh, thank you. My Cash App and my Venmo is NPBFAG. Send me all the love.
I'll put it up on screen. So my Patreon Debs said, if you ever came back for another All Stars and it was like a themed All Stars, it had a theme like all fashion queens or all villains or something like that, what theme would you like it to be that you came back for?
Like AARP, everybody over 50, so we don't have to deal with no death drops. Because if we hit the ground, something might shatter and break. Everybody over 50. Like AARP Drag Race.
Okay, so there were another question was, this is quite an interesting one. So you mentioned recently when you were at Scorpio's bar in Charlotte that you would love to interview Nina Bonina Brown because she's also from Atlanta. Yeah. Now, you said that you feel like you kind of owe Nina an apology because back in the day, maybe the Brooks were almost a bit excluding other queens and stuff. But there was a little bit of like someone.
No. Okay, well, go ahead. Finish with your question.
I was just going to say there has been things in the past where people said that apparently you had said some things about Nina online when she got cast on season 9, like you thought she was doing like clown drag or something. So is there any like what's going on with that situation?
Well, I think people say I said things, but there's nobody showing me what I said. So I don't personally remember saying anything like that. Nina, as far as my apology, I don't feel like I owe her an apology. It's more of an explanation is that the House of Brooks was really running Atlanta, and we still are. There's not very many shows that you can go to in Atlanta to this day that there's not a Brooks member in or, an inspiration or an influence of the House of Brooks in that show. And that I'm very proud of. But the thing was back then, we were all trying to keep the lights on. And we lived together at the time, or I was trying to make sure my daughter was working. So the bookings really were a very nepotism sort of thing. It wasn't an exclusion situation. It was more of we're making sure that we're all working within each other. You know what I mean? So if Phoenix had a show, she was booking me, and Angelica was the other, Black girl on the show, or she was booking Shawnna, or we were all, it was very incestuous, the bookings, and we were unaware that it was also very exclusive to people who weren't in the circle. You know what I mean? Because we had Destiny Brooks, we had Shavonna B. Brooks, we had Shawnna Brooks. There were so many. Giselle was hosting shows. We had Kira Mora hosting shows. Angelica's hosting shows. Destiny's hosting shows. I mean, Alyssa Brooks, she was doing shows. We have girl CC Nicole, Phoenix's daughter. So everywhere you went, we were like half of the show. So it wasn't us excluding people. It was just us booking the House of Brooks over and over again.
So there's no issue between you and Nina. Like you would love to have Nina on your channel and stuff.
I don't feel an issue. I just don't feel like I feel like she feels there's an issue. But I understand she feels very excluded because that was what was happening. What?
That's interesting to know.
But but I've definitely reached out. I've reached out to her on Instagram. I've reached out to her everywhere. But I've even offered to be on her show. You know what I mean? So, okay. I mean, it's just like, I think that we're the collaboration that Atlanta is looking for. Can you imagine me and her doing a fashion photo review?
That would be iconic because I think you're both just very interesting queens and you speak your mind. So I think I'd love to hear that. That would be great.
And our points of view are totally opposite ends. And I like people that don't think like me. That's not really my gig, is to hang out with a bunch of like minds. I mean, it's just not what I do.
One of the other questions I wanted to get to was someone asked, did you prefer doing season 2 or All Stars 10 more?
You know what? My season 2 sisters are so iconic, and we were such a moment. It was like everybody on that season was so successful and is successful. Um, yeah, and I feel like that season 2 really kicked everything off. I mean, everybody thinks that their season really kicked everything off, but to be honest, season 2, we had the first Snatch Game, we had the first fight, we had the first everything. It was the first Atlanta girl, Atlanta Queen was ever on there. You know, everything was a first, and yeah, so season 2 really, it means so much to me. The whole franchise just means so much to me, and to have been a part of it from the very beginning, it's just like, who else can say that? There's very few people on the planet. I was the number 10 person ever on this show. Now there's like 200, but 300 of us, or whatever. But that's still not very many people. 300 is not very many
It's
people.
iconic, yeah, no.
I mean, they wouldn't even say that was a full theater, you know what I mean, for a tour. They were like 300. You only had 300? You know what I mean? We can't even fill a stadium, you know? So I think it's sickening, but we have filled stadiums. You know what I mean?
The name of my channel is Drag Tea Served. Is there maybe like some tea you can serve by either of your seasons, like a moment that didn't happen, or like didn't show on screen, or something that happened behind the scenes, or something like that?
Something that I thought was that they didn't show on season 2 was me and Kylie. We would, when we were being shady, we'd get this little umbrella and pop it up and go underneath this umbrella and be like, say shady stuff. We just thought it was the cutest thing ever. They didn't put none of it in there. But yeah, no, everything, you know, again, I'm so in the moment that I really don't even remember it. I'm just like making sure I'm having a good time. And, you know, it's drag is supposed to be fun. You know what I mean? And these people, they a couple of seasons try to make it so serious, and it's not serious. It's supposed to be punk rock. It's supposed to be Goodwill. It's supposed to be thrift store. And that's why I'm so excited about Darlene being added to the cast of the Down Under Tour in July. Get your tickets now.
Speaking of you plugging stuff, I just wanted to say thank you so much for being on. It's been absolutely a pleasure speaking to you. Where can people find you, and what have you got any projects or anything you want to talk about? Like what's next for Nicole?
I'm the Nicole Paige Brooks on Instagram because I've been hacked. I believe I'm the Nicole Paige Brooks on TikTok. And then my Cash App and my Venmo are both NPBFAG. My YouTube channel, the link is right here. My Patreon, I think it's all Nicole Paige Brooks.
And do you have any projects or anything you want to talk about? Like any projects you want to plug?
Yes, I'm gonna be online at all those places, and then also I'm gonna go be down under. And where am I gonna see you at?
Melbourne. I'm coming to the Melbourne show.
The Melbourne show. When's the
Rose Tour.
The Rose Tour with
Yes.
me, T.S. Madison, Raja, Willem, Thorgy, Darlene.
One more.
There's one more. But who is and me? Like, who are these people?
Australian Queen.
I can't. Oh, Art Simone.
Yes, Art Simone is going to be
And
there,
me.
and then Ruben Kane is the MC.
Yeah, I tried to start a little Twitter war with Darlene by saying she smelled like pee.
I saw.
I'm not good at Twitter wars. And watch, I ended up blocking people who respond to it because they were mean.
You can be
Nicole, thank you so much for being on. Honestly, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you. The NPBFAG is a legend. So thank you so much. I'm sure my viewers have loved hearing from you.
Thank you for having me, and I appreciate it.
Thank you
and
so
I loved
much.
watching you and Tammy Brown. She was really one of the reasons I said yes to this.
I
Not just
love Tammy
Phoenix.
Brown.
Phoenix is my daughter, but Tammy Brown is a role model.
I love Tammy Brown. She is amazing. So thank you so much. Thank you to Tammy as well, because it means I got you. Thank you so much, Nicole. Honestly, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you.
No problem.
Thank you so much. Bye.